Hello everyone, Jennifer with Crafty Bones, and today we're going to make this amigurumi red onion to go with his little friend the carrot. Let's get the camera turned around. Okay, so some of the things we're going to need. We're going to need a plastic canvas circle. This is a 4.5 inch. You could make one smaller, but then it's not going to match with the pattern that I'm giving you. You're going to need a yarn that you feel matches the outside of a red onion. This one is Bordeaux from Red Heart Super Saver. And then you're going to need a white yarn. I also got Super Saver Red Heart on this one. This is going to be optional, but I think it's going to work out nicely. This is an embroidery floss that matches fairly closely to the red yarn I'm using. It doesn't look like it matches as well on video, but it does match pretty well. So this one is color 814, and I did get the medium sized bundle. They have spools, and then they have the small strands, and then they have this. And then you're going to need a hook that matches the size of your yarn. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we are going to make the face of the onion with the embroidery floss and the yarn being crocheted together. So we're going to open this hank up, and let me show you what I mean here. If you look at a real red onion, you can see the red from the outer skin showing up in the center. And so I thought it would be a good idea to do the same here. Now, this is optional. You do not have to use the embroidery floss, but I like the way he turned out. Gives him a little bit of character. So I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Let's open our hank up here. If you've never crocheted using more than one strand of fiber, it's really not that hard. It's easy to get through. Maybe later I'm going to do a basket, and when I do the basket, I'm going to use multiple strands of yarn. So it's going to be a little tougher. We're going to use a bigger hook. All right, so let's get this set aside. And for both of these, I am going to put them together and make a magic circle. Okay. Chain one, which doesn't count as anything. And then we're going to put 5 single crochets in the magic circle. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cinch it tight. All right, and we are going to slip stitch into our first stitch, which is here. If you're not sure, you can count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because we are doing this by slip stitching at the end of each row, it's probably not as necessary to have stitch markers with you, because you can definitely see where the row starts and ends. So we'll slip stitch there. It's a little tight. All right, so now we have a complete circle. From here, we are going to chain up 1, which isn't going to count for anything again, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into that same stitch. So you can see when I pull on that little gap that gets formed right there, that's where we're going to put 2. So this row is going to end with 10 stitches by putting 2 single crochet into each single crochet from the line before. Again, I'm going to tie my tail in as I go. Now you will find when you're doing this that sometimes you get stuck on one of the embroidery floss threads. as you're trying to pull through a stitch. Just have some patience, pull through. Get that there. Or you could just drop it completely. There's that. There, that's 2 into that stitch. These stitches are a little bigger, so it's not as stressful getting in there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now to complete that row, we're going to slip stitch back here where we started. Remember, this is the chain 1, that doesn't count for anything. Here is where we're going to slip stitch. Make sure that you go through both top sections of that stitch, pull through and pull through. All right, so now we have 10 stitches. Probably should have treated this hank a little better. And again, for round 3, we are going to increase. So I'm going to chain up 1, and it doesn't count for anything. Back in where we started, and if you pull on that stitch again, you can see that small little gap form right there. In that stitch, we're going to single crochet 2 times. 1, 2. For the next stitch, we're going to single crochet just 1 time. So I've tied this in some. I'm leaving it hang now. It will be inside the onion, so it's not going to matter. I can pick it up again on the next round or just leave it there, but it should be fine. All right, so in this 3rd stitch here, single crochet. Let's get some more yarn. And we're going to complete this pattern all the way around for a total of 15 stitches, okay? So that's 4 and 5 into the same stitch, 6 by itself, 7 and 8 into the same stitch, and 9 by itself, 10 and 11 into the same stitch, 12 by itself, 13 and 14 into the same stitch, and then 15 by itself. And again, like I said, you can see where we finished. So we're just going to slip stitch back into this first stitch, pull through and pull through, and then we will get started on round 4. Okay, so for round 4, we are going to, again, chain 1, that doesn't count for anything, and right into this space right here that's created by the gap that's created when we pull up on this. We're going to put 2 single crochet into that space. I think I'm going to pick that up again. 1 and 2. And now for the next 2 stitches, we're going to do a single crochet by itself. And this is going to be a complete, once the round is complete, it will be 20 stitches. So that's 2, 3 by itself, 4 by itself, 5 and 6 are together, 7 by itself, 8 by itself, 9 and 10 are together, 11 by itself, 12 by itself, so when I went through this the first time, I unraveled the hank and spooled it up into a ball, which I probably should have done. But we will make it work. Okay, where were we? Here's our 2 together, then 2 singles, and then this will be 2 together, 2 singles, and this will be 2 together, and that should have been 16 and 17, or no, sorry, 17 and 18, and then there's 19 and 20. So to finish this row again, we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first, not into that chain because that chain means nothing. So pull through and pull through. So round 5 is also an increase, and I think you can see where this is going. This is going to be a total of 25 stitches, so we're going to increase by 5. Again, chain up and that doesn't mean anything, and then single crochet 2 times into the first stitch, so that gives us 2, and now for the next 3 single crochet we're going to put 1 in it. So we have 1 and 2, then we're going to get to 3, 4, and 5, and then 6 and 7 will be together. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. Here's 3, 4, 5, 'It's my yarn that's causing the problem. All right, 6 and 7 together, 8, 9, and 10 are separate, and then we're going to have 11 and 12 together, and you see that pattern that we're doing then. We're going to do 2 stitches together, and then 3 single crochet in the next stitches, next 3 stitches all by themselves. All right, let's complete that pattern around. Okay, here at the end we're going to slip stitch again, and for the next round again crochet 1 chain up, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into this first space. 1, 2, and then we're going to follow it with 4 stitches with 1 single crochet each. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 2 single crochet in this one. 1, 2, followed by 1 single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 single crochet here. 1 and 2, and then 4 single in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 singles here. 1, 2, and then 4 stitches with 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 in this one, and then singles for the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously I'm crocheting extremely tightly because it's curling, but it will flatten itself out when you get the plastic canvas in there. All right, and we are now going to slip stitch back here into our first single crochet. This should have given you a total of 30 stitches. If you're not sure if you did 30 stitches, you can count it, but if your pattern worked out correctly, you're probably fine. All right, so round 7, again, another increase. Chain 1 with 2 single crochets in the first one. And for this one, you're going to do 5 singles followed by 2 singles and 1 stitch. So that will give you 35 stitches all the way around. So there's 2 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do that all the way around. Okay, here is stitch number 35, and then we are going to slip stitch back into our first stitch. All right, so this is what we've got so far. You may notice that you're squaring off a little bit. That tends to happen if you always increase in the same spot, but it will work out just fine. Okay, so for the next round, round number 8, again an increase. So chain up 1 and 2 single crochet into that first stitch, and we are going to have a total of 40 stitches for this. So our increase will always come after the 8th stitch. Okay, so there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our increase. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's going to be the 8th stitch. So we're going to increase into the next stitch. Let me get a little yarn out. (17) and 18 together. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, that's our 8, 25 and 26 together. All right, and we're going to finish this pattern until we get to the end, and it'll be 40 stitches. All right, and here is number 40, and again we are going to slip stitch into our first stitch here. All right, so the next round, round 9, is going to be our last increase round and also the last round of the face of the red onion. So chain up 1 and put 2 single crochets in that same stitch. And this one will be multiples of 9. And so it'll be the 2 single crochets in the first stitch followed by 7 for a total of 9. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then we'd increase here 10 and 11 would be in the same stitch, and then we'd have 7 more singles. All right, so I will meet you back with that pattern, 2 single crochets followed in the same stitch, followed by 7 single crochets in their own stitch. I'll meet you at the end. All right, so I am at 45 stitches here, and we are going to slip stitch and then pull up a loop and pull through, because we are going to fasten off. Now, when I originally made this, I did use a smaller hook size, and that's how I got it to fit with this. And as you can see, I used a bigger hook size so it shows better on camera, but the sizing may be a little off. So the size that I'm using now is a 5 1/4, but if you use a 5mm hook with a worsted weight yarn, at least for me, it worked out well. So what we're going to do now is prepare this part to become a face. We're going to put on a mouth and some eyes. So cut yourself, well, I'm using black. You don't have to use black to make your mouth, but cut yourself a piece. Now you can make any kind of mouth you want. I just sort of put in some lines and then make a border around it. You can make a happy mouth. You could go without a mouth. It doesn't have to be anthropomorphic. It could just be a vegetable. It's not working in my favor today. All right. So you have to decide what you think would be a good top. And this sort of naturally becomes a nose. So your eyes are going to be in this general area and your mouth is going to be down here. But if you see, it's kind of a pentagram because we were working in multiples. We started with 5, and so each of these will be 5. And you can use that kind of as a guide to where you want everything to be placed. So between this corner and this corner is where I want the mouth. So somewhere in here. And I'm going to try and finish in the same area where I'm starting so that I can tie a knot on the back side. So I push my knot in, or my yarn in from the back side, leave a small tail, and this is how I do it. I go across. And I come back up. Go back down, but in a slightly towards the center. You can see it's going to leave gaps, but if you try to go in and out in the same place, clearly your yarn's not going to stay there. So you can come back and fill in. When we go to put the eyes on, make sure that you have either nail clippers or a small pair of scissors. We will be snipping out part of the plastic canvas. All right, so I am happy with the way that works. But what I'm going to do is come up one more time and back through so that I end in the same area that I began. When you tie it, don't make it too tight because it will pucker. You just want it to stay in place. Okay, again, eyes are optional, and if anyone is interested, I was having a difficult time finding larger eyes at Joann because I wanted ones that had the pupil and iris, but I did find that Hobby Lobby has a rather large pack of them. Let me see. 12 pieces, so you could do 6 animals, and they are 15mm eyes with the iris and pupil, and they were $1.99. So if you use a 40% off coupon, and that's all you're getting, it would work out quite well. All right, so this I'm not really worried about because it's going to be tucked in when we start the back of the onion. Okay, but for now, I want you to pick up your canvas and put your canvas on the back here. It's just sitting there. But now decide where your eyes are going to be. And remember, I said that this is kind of like a pentagon here. I believe I said pentagram, but pentagon. And so there's points coming here and here. But I think I want my eyes in the middle of these points. Now, these will not fit through that canvas. So what you have to do is decide where on this that you want your eyes. And you don't have to use those points as a guide at all, because if you see my mouth is a little crooked now, that's not going to work. So I'll just put my eyes in where I think I want them. No, I think that one needs to go over just a little. So that I'm happy with. And I'll pick up your canvas, and if you look, you'll see that these aren't going to go through. But what I want you to do is find the point that the eye is straight. So if you push, it's going to bend or fall out. You could do that too. So hold it straight up and push. And then if you look in the back, you can see where it wants to come through. See where it wants to come through. And I really only snipped out one of these for the other one. So let me see if I can find a good spot right there. So there's where I want it to go. I am going to snip out there and then push the eye through. Okay, same thing over here. I want to make sure that my canvas is straight. Find the place where I believe it's going to punch through, and then snip, and then it will come through. So what I have found is that looks a little pokey. I wasn't sure if it was going to poke or not, so then I held it sideways and just clipped that a little. Same this direction. Just clip the little end a little. I mean, you could take your time when you're originally cutting it and make sure that you have it cut completely on both sides. But when you're trying to hold on to all of this, that's not really a good option. All right. So let's grab the locks for our eyes. Now these do go this way, but I have found by doing in the other one, because of this plastic canvas, there is not enough there. So just flip it over and it still locks. And because it's going to be stuffed, you're not going to feel this big lump on the back. Okay, so there, our eyes are hooked on, and now from the front, this is what it looks like. Once we stuff this, this is going to punch out like this, and it'll look like he's got a little nose. A little like this one. Now I have two. Okay, as I said, I originally did this with a smaller hook. This is a 5 1/4, and I believe because I didn't want anything to punch through here, I used a 4 1/2. But that is completely up to you. When you're not trying to do this as a follow along, the circle goes a lot quicker, especially if you make single crochet hats. It does go really quickly. So if you did it and had to pull it back out because it was the wrong scale, I don't think that it would take you too long to get it to the right scale for you so that you can fit whatever circle size you have. Okay, so the next round is going to be round 10, and this is where we're going to start with the secondary color. And that is here. So for this, I started with a slip stitch. And you want to attach from the front so that we go in the right direction and the stitches are facing the right way. What I did was start here, and then I crocheted right over top of this tail so that I could keep it in place. Now, I will say it is difficult when you first start because you're going to be crocheting inside like this, because if you try to crochet this way, this plastic is going to really be in your way. So put your hook through the front, attach your yarn with a slip knot, which is really just a chain. All right, let's bring this back down here. So what we're going to do, and holding all of these little stragglers in, is chain up one, and now only in the back of the stitches for the remaining 44 stitches you're going to put in a single crochet, but only in to the back. Okay, so this is where we're at. So just through that back one. Okay, let's pull all of these up here in a single crochet. Now you should have 45 total all the way around, but this should have been your first one. Okay, all right, so that should be 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold that through. It just is determined to be in the front, isn't it? Yeah, it's really determined. Let's see what we can do about keeping it back there. 6, 7. All right, we should be good now. Those aren't going to show. 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, you get the idea. So all the way around for 45 stitches. Now when we get to the end here, if you don't like the way this looks, you could put a single crochet right on top of this. So let's see what we got when we get back. And here is 45. Okay, so if you don't like the way this one looks, you could certainly put another single crochet there, but I am just going to slip stitch into it, into that chain. Okay, so that was row 10. Now for round 11, it's again going to be 45 stitches, but you're going to chain up one and start right back in that same spot. Okay, and then it's going to be 1 single crochet all the way around for 45 stitches. And we're going to completely do that same thing for rounds 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So for the next 6 rows, all we're going to do is 45 stitches all the way around, and that will get you to a completion of round 16. I should mention here as I finish round 11 that for all of those rounds, 11 through 16, you're going to be in both the front and back. It's only for round 10 that you're going to go into the back, okay? So every other row after that, you're just going to slip stitch at the end, chain up, and then single crochet through both sides of the stitch all the way around for 45 stitches for all of those rows, 11 through 16, okay? Okay, we're coming close to the end here of 16. 41, 42, 43. I know this dark color is hard to pick up, sorry. 44, 45, and then we are going to slip stitch into our first one. All right, so what we're going to do now is turn this over so that our face is no longer inside out. We did wait to do this because this plastic canvas really gets in the way. So in order to close this onion, we are going to work backwards of how we work the face, because this we ended in 45 stitches from 5, so we're going to work this backwards from 45 back to 5 instead of from 5 up to 45. Okay, so for row 17, the first thing we're going to do is single crochet 2 together. Okay, so we're going to take our hook through this first stitch, pick up a loop, put our hook through the second stitch, pick up a loop. We should have 3 on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. That was a single crochet 2 together. That reduces 2 stitches to 1. So now, just like we ended with 2 in 1 and then single crochet 7 times, now we're going to 2 down to 1 and single crochet 7 times. So we have that, and then 7 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, this is where we're going to single crochet 2 together. So through the loop, or through the stitch, pull up a loop, through another stitch, pull up a loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through, and back to singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more time, through the stitch, pull up a loop, through the second stitch, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through. All right, let's complete that row and I'll be right back. Okay, once you've completed row 17, which gives you the reduction down to 40 inches, for row 18, just do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. After you finish your reduction, you can just slip stitch and chain up 1, okay, and then do your 40 single crochet all the way around. Now for row 19, we're going to reduce again, but we're going to reduce differently than we did on row 17. So go ahead and pause if you need to complete row 18 and the single crochets all the way around, and then come on back. But you're going to end the same way, slip stitch and chain up 1. Now for 19, we're going to work backwards from the reduction we did previously. So into this same stitch that we chained up one, I'm going to have you single crochet into that one, and then for 5 more stitches for 6 total. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now here is where we're going to do the reduction. So we're going to go ahead and crochet 2 together. So through the stitch, pick up a loop, through the next stitch, pick up a loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So that's how we're going to do the reduction for row 19. Again, so we're going to start here and do 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then single crochet 2 together for a reduction. Through the stitch, pick up a loop, through the next stitch, pick up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And again, back to the 6 single crochets. Do that all the way around until you complete row 19. All right, coming to the end here. That's my 6th single crochet, and then these 2 are going to be a reduction. So single crochet 2 together, and then we are going to slip stitch into our starting stitch. All right, so that was 19, and we're now down to 35 stitches. For 20, we're going to chain up 1, and we're going to single crochet into that chain, or where we chained up 1, and also for the next 4 stitches for a total of 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to single crochet 2 together. Through the stitch, pick up a loop, through the stitch, pick up another loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so again, just repeat this pattern all the way around and you will be down to 30 stitches. 5, and then 2 together. All right, that takes me down to 30 stitches. That is the end of round 20. Slip stitch, chain up 1, 21, also reduction. I believe the rest of them from now forward are reductions. So for 21, we're going to go from 30 stitches down to 25 stitches. Single crochet back into the stitch that we started in. And for the next 4, or excuse me, the next 3 for a total of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 together. And you're going to do that all the way around. 4 single crochets and then 2 together. All right, last stitch of this round, round 21, is crochet 2 together. And slip stitch to the first stitch. For round 22, again, also a reduction. Chain up 1, single crochet into that, and into the next 2 for a total of 3. So that's 2 and 3, and then crochet 2 together. One, 2, 3, 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 2 together, 1, 2, 3. This is our last 2 stitches, and they will be crocheted together. And slip stitch. We are now down to 20 stitches. You can see that our hole is getting rather small here. You can start to stuff here if you want, or you can do one more round. I am going to do one more round. Chain up 1, single crochet where that came from, and in the next one. And then you're going to single crochet 2 together. This is going to reduce us to 15 stitches. So 1, 2, and 2 together. 1, 2, 2 together. 1, 2, 2 together. 1, 2, and these are our last 2 here. 2 together, and then slip stitch. All right, so this is where we're going to start stuffing the onion. All right, so whether I'm making amigurumi or whether I'm sewing something that I stuffed, I like to separate it out a little before I stuff it in. That way you end up with it nice and loose on the inside and it doesn't clump up. So let's see. Again, we want it firm and we want the sides extended, but we don't want it so far extended that the stuffing starts to show through. All right, let me finish stuffing him and I'll be right back. Okay, I believe I have him as firm as I want him. We need to reduce further now. Okay, so for round 24, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet into that same stitch. And then we're going to single crochet 2 together. And this will get us from 15 to 10. We take away 5 each time, just like we added 5 on the way up on the face. I want to try to keep this firm, but not so firm that I lose some density here in the red. Let's see. And again, that's just 1 single crochet and then single crochet 2 together. And that pattern repeats 5 times around, just like every other pattern did. All right, so that has us right back where we started from. And again, I'm going to slip stitch. Whoop, he's getting away from me. All right, so we still have to make this yet smaller still. I think I may have overstuffed a little. We can always pull some out, touch it up. So for this one, we're going to still chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. Again, everything is a pattern of 5 on this, so it's going to be 5 single crochet 2 together. So there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. So now, instead of slip stitching in there again, we're just going to pull through and fasten off, but leave a halfway decent tail on there. We're going to close this the rest of the way with a yarn needle. So grab your yarn needle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and thread our yarn needle onto our long tail that we left. And if you look at the top of this, you can see all 5 of, oh, I guess you can't. You can see all 5 of the stitches. So with the yarn needle, we're going to come in from the underside and pick up each of those loops just really lightly. You can go through both, you can go through one, totally up to you. I'm going through, or I'm trying to go through just the underside. I'll show you why. So I'm going to cinch that tight, and if you go through the underside, then the top sides come together. Okay, so now we're just going to tie this off. Make a couple of knots here. So if you want to do this optional part, we're going to cut this off and leave a little tail right here, just a tiny little tail, about 1 inch long. If you're not going to do this optional part, you're going to feed your thread through here, pull it a little tighter than you want, cut it off flush, and then when you let go, it'll pull itself back in. All right, but we're going to do something else with it. I'm going ahead and cut that off, and we'll just add one later. So what I want you to do is to take your secondary color here and cut yourself 2, 3, however many you want, but cut them 3 to 4 inches long. And then your white, you're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use less of the white, so I'll only cut off 2 of those. And then, just because I had some laying around and I thought it would add a nice detail, I have some beige here. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the beige. I'm going to cut off a couple of little strips of the beige. I just think it adds a nice little detail. So what I want you to do then is take your hook and you're going to work around the top here. Just go underneath a stitch, pick up one of your colors of yarn, it doesn't matter which one. Pull it through. Or don't, you know, you could do what I did and just drop it. All right, so when you have this little loop up, grab a hold of these again, pull them through, and then you're going to tighten them down. So I'm going to go in someplace else, I'm going to grab a different color, pull it through, and then pull it through that way. Don't worry too much about their even, because I'm just going to trim them off to the same length anyway. And I have the third color, so I'm going to put one of those here. Tighten those in. Get another red one. Tighten that in. Put a beige one here. Brought a little stuffing out with me. Let's try to do that without the stuffing. All right, let's see. I've got a white and a burgundy left still. So I'm going to put the white one over here, I think. And then a burgundy one over here. And if you've ever seen on the root end of the onion, sometimes it has those little hairs or strings hanging off of it. And that's what the idea behind that was. So then I just pull it all out, give it a little bit of a haircut. So there he is. There is our onion with his little root tail. And now he matches his little buddy over here. And I really want to thank everyone for watching, and please enjoy making your onion.